bow and serve, or will you stand and fight?
Hi, everybody. This is Barack Obama. You get this hunger.
Everybody here wants the pie. We want to grow the pie, and then we want to fight for the pie.
When freedom is threatened, will you turn a blind eye, or will you sound the alarm?
The private sector is doing fine.
Hey folks, this is The Mouth, host of the Last Voice for Liberty Network. Tune in Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Pacific, 11 Central for your ultimate dose of liberty right here on FreedomizerRadio.com.
What can we get done right now?
What?
This is the politics of the moment. This has to do with what can we get done right now?
What?
All right, and on that note, thank you for joining us here, hour number 3 of the Proof Negative Show. And right now we're going to bring up, someone here in Vegas that just happens to be running for governor next time around, next year. And he just so happens also to be our keynote speaker this Saturday at our Freedomizer conference located here in Las Vegas. For more details on that, you can email me, proof@freedomizerradio.com, and I'll be happy to share with you. But right now, let's go ahead and bring Mr. VanDerBeek in. David VanDerBeek, welcome in.
Hey, thanks for having me, Proof. Great to be with you.
Thank you for thanking me, and thank you for agreeing to come out and get to rally more people around your plan for liberty here in Nevada.
Well, it's an honor. I was just talking with another show host, and the thing that I want to always emphasize is that, when people run for office, and whether you're a radio host like yourself, I think you can agree with this, that it really is not about ego. We say, he's running for governor, but it is about being on a team and being in a position to serve people. And we're doing a lot of good. I mean, Freedomizer Radio has supported me through 2 campaigns now, and we didn't get to know each other until late in the last one, but that's okay. That's how this works. That's how freedom is won, is that by people getting to know each other over time, building trust and networking, and we'll win when we're worthy to win, is what I like to say. When we make the effort that we need to make in order to be free, we'll be free.
Right. Just my new Thursday co-host, Angie Morelli, that definitely wanted me to make sure I said hi on her behalf. So she has an art show that she's featured in or something of that nature. So she had to leave. She's already running late, so she wanted to say hi.
Angie Morelli. Okay.
Anyway, she knows you. I guess you might not remember her, but that's okay.
Isn't she Monsanto?
Yes, March Against Monsanto, and she will be at our event
exactly.
too. So we're going to learn about Monsanto too.
I know exactly who she is. Yeah. Well, say hello back.
All right. Anyway, I just think it's great here, Dave, that of all the cities to live in as far as activism goes, that Vegas, to me, just seems like a really happening place. There's just so many activists. The Freedom Fest is here. When somebody like Cindy Lake runs for office, even though she lost, people turn out just to support a liberty-minded activist. And people come out to support you because you're a liberty-minded activist that happens to be running for office as well. And I don't know if things like this happen in Little Rock, Arkansas, or Montgomery, Alabama, so to speak.
Yeah, it's difficult to say. I think we are Ron Paul country. I mean, even in Las Vegas. And that doesn't mean that we agree with everything that Ron Paul says, but it means that Nevadans, by and large, believe in civil rights. They believe in rule of law, natural law, and free market economy. And this state is suffering. I mean, it's economically, it's been referred to as the ground zero of the financial collapse. So we understand failure well. We understand economic failure well, and so we need a real plan, and we need to take it back. And we are a gambling state, which means that we are willing to take risks. And so we really are searching for something new here.
Right, and the thing is that people don't know because we're always searching. That it just seems like we're more of a transient area, which is even more stunning because people come and go. There's a lot of hermits, I guess, that live here for a few years and move on, but the liberty movement here seems to be growing.
Well, if you look at the state, I drove across the state recently because I went to Carson City and I spoke there. And if people look up the speech, it's a real Nevada economy. And one of the major problems with Nevada is that it's federally owned almost completely. So Nevada is almost empty. We haven't been able to diversify our economy. And so that would, because we can't diversify our economy, that's one of the reasons why we're not stable, because we can't harvest our own energy resources. We have, I want to have free energy, and I want to have alternative energies and better, more stable energies. But the reality is we use oil for the present until we can, have a power structure that fosters better energy. We actually have oil here in Nevada. We have big oil, and we can become energy independent as a state. But we can't do that if we can't harvest our own resources as we work towards something better, as we work to better technologies. You cross the state, it's a bombed-out country. It's empty. There's vast expanses of land. I mean, miles and miles of open land. Absolutely nothing.
I was going to say, I have never driven to Reno, and I know it's an 8-hour drive. Or am I wrong? Can you do it faster if you're driving maybe no more than 5 miles over the speed limit?
Well, you're probably looking at 7 to 8 hours, yeah. Yeah, you're in that neighborhood.
If I was to drive to Reno, and let's just share how desolate the area seems to be from Reno to Vegas, where do you stop for gas?
Well, there are places to stop, but it's probably every 100 miles, so you're going to be going, Hawthorne has a place to stop. You're going up and you hit that military facility. It's out in the middle of nowhere. Then there's this lake that's probably all radiated, but people can, jet ski on it. And then it's basically nothing until you get to Lyon County. Once you get to Lyon County, the landscape changes because people have actually been allowed to farm there. And the climate's more amenable to it. So it's cooler up in western Nevada. It's where the rivers meet, and so it's a different environment up there. It's very beautiful, very, very beautiful. But we could, if we could irrigate the land, but we can't. I mean, it's just there's literally mile and mile of nothing. Not only that, but the
Bureau of Land Management and Agenda 21, they don't want to do anything with that land.
Well, there's a darker purpose to that, and that is controlling populations, and we're essentially being herded into metropolitan areas. So people are being grouped because it's much easier to control people that way. It's much easier to limit the size of the population. If people are willing to look at GMO food and how that's a sterilization program, if they're willing to look at vaccines, see that the herd is we're being herded and we're going to be culled. That CULLED. The herd will be culled of all the people that the elite consider useless eaters. So you've got all these people who are cut off from their land's resources. Naturally, they have hard times finding jobs. So the roles of the welfare population are swollen. So then they consider these people useless. Well, if we were able to develop the resources and let people live on the land and work the land and create jobs, and we have energy, manufacturing would come back, more jobs, then because energy is the primary cost of manufacturing, then these people would actually be productive. But people give up. People are frustrated because they say, well, I can make more money I can make more money on welfare than working at Walmart.
That is pretty shameful, but and I've looked at it like if 90% of the U.S. population was on some kind of government assistance, I don't think the government would really mind all that much.
Well, I mean, for how long, you know? it's just not sustainable because somebody's got to create now. In theory, and in reality, to some degree, you could say that human labor is becoming redundant because the more efficient we become technologically and agriculturally, yes, luxury and leisure time will increase. That's a fact. So in reality, in theory, if you had a benign government, you could expand and people could live comfortably without working much. I don't know that will ever happen because of the tendency for governments to kill their own people.
I guess there's no better way to say it, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that the number one cause of unnatural death in the history of mankind is death by government?
Yeah,
so,
it's like every 40, 50 years you'll find some tyrannical government that just has the sudden urge to kill millions of people.
Yeah, well, and I think, is it the sudden urge or is it, you know, that what we have is a cycle of populations? See, if we are being free tomorrow depends on how we use our freedom today. So if we are decadent and lazy because we've lived in luxury, see, greatness is being able to afford to be a decadent slob, but choosing to be a workhorse for the benefit of mankind. But most people, when they can afford to be, many people, not most, many people, when they can afford to be decadent slobs, will do so. Consequently, they become ignorant. They become soft. They are not able to catch risks or threats. They can't tell when a threat's coming. So it could be that the government's just a reflection of the people. So in some ways, you could say that when populations cycle through decadence, then they naturally swing towards almost their own suicide.
And why is that? I guess this goes along a question here that I have of, and I guess this ties in loosely with the NSA. But what is so important for the government to throttle its people? Because, well, look at it this way. If more business was created in Nevada, California, whatever, there's more taxpayers paying into the system. There's more employees. They wouldn't have to raise sales tax. They wouldn't have to raise other crazy harebrained ideas for revenues. But instead, they want to throttle the people and gouge and other stuff. Well,
it's possible to become predatory. People become groomed. You could argue it either way. Some people are kind of brutal already as children. So if that is cultivated and groomed, we have a political class which I would diagnose professionally as a therapist as narcissistic psychopaths. And I don't think people are necessarily are born that way. I think that they become groomed to that. They become that through a process of rationalization, through being groomed by people around them. So we do have a political class of people who are mentally ill, and a narcissist, if on a professional level, it's just, you're talking to a narcissist when they do not care about you. They only care about themselves. They are number one. They are the greatest. They are so awesome that they can't even see how pathetic they are. They can't even conceive of their own failure. And Obama is a primary example of that. Goes and speaks in Berlin, and basically no one shows up. But he thinks he's so awesome. He just carries on. It doesn't even faze him because he's a narcissist. So a narcissist isn't even fazed by their own obvious failures, and and they just carry on, and they carry on. So he continues to just kill people. So he'll go and act like he's crying for Sandy Hook children, but he has no problem with droning children in Pakistan, giving weapons to the cartels to kill more kids on the Mexican border. He wants to remove guns from Chicago homes so more kids are gunned down there in gun-free zones. The man kills children every day. And so
about extreme late-term abortions as well. I don't want to really bring up the abortion issue, but at the same time, he is in favor of that.
You're right on. I'm sorry. You're absolutely 100% right. Let's throw in the vaccines and the GMO food on kids, because guess what? Cancer and autism, proof that's the new chicken pox. Every kid's going to have cancer and autism. That's chicken pox.
You know what? Come to think about it, Dave, I don't know about you. I have 2 kids, and my kids have not had chicken pox. I have not heard of a chicken pox case in years, and my wife is a school teacher. Is chicken pox still even around?
That's a good question. But when we were growing up, right, that was like a rite of passage.
Oh, there were chicken pox parties. I know.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I haven't really thought about it, but nowadays you don't get chicken pox, you get autism. That's what you get.
I guess. See, I didn't think about it on that end, but you're right on that as well. So, yeah, I think we're along the same lines here. I did want to ask you a question that I forgot about 10 minutes ago. So, sorry to back the bus up a few miles, but what can we do as Nevada? And I thought we were doing okay, but obviously we're still hurting. What can we do to get more businesses from high tax areas such as California and New York? I would have thought that having no state income tax and having a more of a libertarian community would have helped bring business in. But is it? What is it that we're doing wrong? And what can we do to fix it?
That's a good question. We can have low taxes, and yet it makes you wonder. It really makes you wonder. I've talked to people with small businesses. You and I both know AJ Mainberg. And
I was going to mention her a few minutes ago, and I'm wishing her a speedy recovery.
Yeah, she's out of the hospital. She's my campaign manager, for those who don't know. She's like a female Ron Paul, basically, And
she's one of my good friends. I stop at her store, Pure Health Foods, all the time and say hi.
Yeah. So there's a primary example of business regulations that strangle small business. They talk about the problems there, and I wonder, it's not the taxes that are the issue. It's all the bureaucracy. It's all the rules that they put on businesses. So we might have low, business tax or corporate tax, but then you could have all of these bureaucrats from all these agencies, one after another, overlapping, finding you, feeing you, giving you more and more to do in order to stop a business. And I think that's definitely, without question, an issue in Nevada still.
Well, I just think that if especially in NorCal, and I realize that Google and such are making money hand over fist, but at the same time, I would have thought that they would be able to save even more money and put even more money in their pockets just by moving a few hundred miles east and pop up in Sparks as opposed to Silicon Valley.
It's a great question. We should probably see. I guess the question would be is why doesn't our governor go around soliciting that very thing? I mean, that's what the governor should do, right? I mean, he should go to these companies and say, look, what are you having to pay to do business in this state? Come to Nevada. We'll make it worth your while. See, government should be fostering an environment that businesses want to be a part of. A good example of that I was reading about is Atlanta. So Atlanta has this great environment, and the mayor of Atlanta you know, he goes and he makes sure he talks to these people. And you know what our governor's done? He's got us a call center. That's what he got us. 400 people in a call center. So you can go work at this call center as your rear end grows around the chair in your cubicle, living the life on the movie Office Space. 400 people, not 4,000, not 40,000, but 400. And that's job creation the Sandoval way.
I hate to do this to you, Dave. I'm going to have to let you fly solo for about 3 or 4 minutes. I have an emergency I got to take care of here. I'm going to come back as soon as I can. I won't be more than 5, I promise.
Okay.
I'm sure you got topics. I hate doing it, but I can't wait.
Okay. I've got it. So
let's just say, I don't know if you followed my Facebook post. I've been sick for 5 days.
Okay, no problem. I'm going to go over just the background of the campaign.
I was trying not to put TMI on anyone, but my regular audience knows already.
Okay. Well, I hope you get feeling better. I know a lot of people are sick out there, so, I mean, you always got to take care of health issues. Right. Now, if people will go to there's a couple pages for this campaign that you want to be familiar with that I'd like you to be familiar with if you want the information. One would be the official website. It's NevadaGovernor2014.com. So if you go to NevadaGovernor2014.com, you can click on the platform issues. This is really important because if you go to my competitor's website, my opponent, BrianSandoval.com, you'll see that he has no platform positions. In other words, the only position that he has is essentially, that means that he has one position, and that is bending whichever way special interests tell him to bend. But you'll see that the platform, I believe, this platform that we've got on NevadaGovernor2014.com is the preeminent state governor campaign platform that will be the measuring standard for all gubernatorial campaigns across this nation. Now, it's kind of cool because we did get the domain name NevadaGovernor2014.com. So I knew that the campaign was special when we got that domain name because that's a huge deal. If you go to Google, for example, and you type in NevadaGovernor2014.com, you'll see that our website pops right up. I'll put it in right now. And you'll see that the results, Nevada Governor 2014, are ours. Probably the first 150 results on that Google search are ours. And that's not something, those are organic. That's not something that the establishment can weed out. Because you know that with organic web search results, over time they become stronger and stronger and stronger. So they can't be displaced by search engine optimization or fake and phony gimmicks to get higher search engine results. So that's huge. So NevadaGovernor2014.com, actually, if you go to Alexa.com, you'll see that if you compare it to other governor website, campaign websites like Chris Christie, Jan Brewer, Andrew Cuomo, even Rick Perry, it's already more popular than theirs. Rick Perry, I have a lower rank in the U.S. He's the only governor that has a higher ranking website than me, is Rick Perry. And he's actually a sitting governor, and my website's only 3 years, it's been about 4 or 5 months old. And so it's got a higher global rank than his. The campaign has had global appeal. I was actually on the Skype with a man named Konstantin, who's a Ukrainian in Libya that wants to tell me about what Libya is really like. So the campaign has wide-ranging appeal. I did an interview with a Romanian patriot right in Transylvania. His name's Christian. So the campaign is global because people around the world understand that what we do in the United States impacts them because they're tired of being bombed into democracy because what we tend to say is, okay, you're going to be a democracy or we're going to bomb you, and that needs to stop. So the people of the world are tired of being policed by the United States military. Now, the other pages you want to look at, the Facebook fan page, it's David Lory VanDerBeek. So you just put my name in, and you'll come to the fan page. And you'll see that that's important to like and to continue to strengthen, because those are the types of measures that the establishment is afraid of, that we can take back to social media, and we can use the social media that they created for their police state and stand it on its head. See, I'm not afraid of Facebook. I'm not afraid of surveillance, because I'm going to cram freedom back down their throat. And so we need to use all the social networking, social media, to send a message reflecting the mirror back into the police state that we can see them and we're not afraid of them. Because we know, look, we know where the government's tracking us, so we know where they're at. We know where NSA is. We know they're on Facebook, so we know where they're at. We can track them. Whatever the government sets up, whatever the government sets up and promotes, we know that that's where they're at. YouTube, Gmail, Google, Twitter, we know that's where the government's at. So whatever you put on there is a direct message back into DHS, NSA, FBI, so on and so forth. And we can use the social networking to track patriots like Brandon Rao. When he was abducted, he was a Marine, and they say he was mentally ill for his posts on Facebook. We could track him. We used the social media to set him free. We used the police state and stood it on its head. Now, so that's the Facebook fan page, and I'll come back to that because there's some really important posts on there regarding the National Boy Scout Jamboree. Now, another page that you want to look at is Twitter. On Twitter, it's U.S. Family Man, so that's there. And then the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel, I'll give you a comparison here. For an instance, the current sitting governor of Nevada has a YouTube channel. And you want to take a guess as to how many subscribers he has? Last time I checked, it was 71 when I subscribed. Now, in contrast, the message that I am sharing has this year, it has over 12,100 subscribers. The message of my campaign, I started campaigning in November after the U.S. Senate campaign, which I'll tell you about. But it went viral because
by the way, I'm back. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Oh, you're back. Okay. So I was just saying, mentioning that people can go to the YouTube channel. It's just David Lory on YouTube, and how things started to really pick up. It was around the time of Sandy Hook that things started to really pick up, because the Second Amendment really got people's attention. So when the government attacked the Second Amendment, and when Obama stood on the graves of dead children for his political agenda, that really, gave a big charge to the Patriot movement. And so the top priority of the campaign is the Second Amendment. It's the preservation of the right to bear arms in the broadest sense. That could include knives, it could include lasers, whatever arms means, And so those are the web pages that I would recommend to people. So as I filled the time. But you're back, huh? Or not? You're there?
I'll be keeling over, and then I'm fine for another 8 to 10 hours. It's just enough to be annoying, but not enough to go to the doctor.
Yeah,
I don't know how
sorry.
it works.
Well, speaking of illnesses, I'd like to bring this up, if I may. I'd like to talk a little bit about the Boy Scout Jamboree, if I might.
Oh, yeah, please, yes. Thank you.
Now, people who followed me knew that I had a whistleblower come to me, and and we were put in contact with each other regarding the National Boy Scout Jamboree that is currently underway at the National Bechtel Family Reserve in West Virginia, and we're talking about 40,000 scouts. Now, this source indicated that there was going to be a drill there, which would be a mass casualty drill by FEMA with the military involved, and it would involve conventional and unconventional warfare, and that the casualties would be provided, not by the military that usually provides their own casualties, but that they would be provided, and that it was in conjunction with the Jamboree. And this person decided to come forward because of the Boston bombing, and how that was, from all evidence, indicates that it was an FBI operation, that they didn't want to tell the Boston PD, but they used it to roll out martial law. Now, that information was put out a few months ago by me, and you can search that. If people just search Nevada governor, they go to the website Nevada Governor 2014. If you just search Nevada Governor Jamboree, you'll pull it up. So the more I studied it at the time when I received the report, the more it bothered me, because if anybody knows anything about the Bechtel family, they are basically some of the worst human beings on the earth. If there is an Illuminati, and there are these Illuminati families, the Bechtels are one of those families. These are the people that made Bolivia pay for their rainwater. They took away their rainwater and raised the price of water by 50% until the people were rioting and kicked them out of the country. What's that?
I didn't know you could take the rainwater away. But I guess in 7 states it's illegal to reuse your rainwater.
Right. Yeah. So they made it. They privatized the water supply. They took it away from the government, and then they made it illegal to collect water. Yeah. So that's the kind of these are the people you talk about fraud in contractor fraud in the Middle East. That's Bechtel. Okay. So these are horrible human beings. Their favorite senator, get this, is Dianne Feinstein. That's their favorite senator. So Miss Disarm America herself, and totally defending Obama and Benghazi. So that's the Bechtel family. Now, this basically, what I've learned now, the people are calling, the locals from Mount Hope next door, the locals are calling me and talking to me. They're under martial law there. The troops are there, telling them where they can and can't go. A man was killed there that was hired by the government, and for his mining experience. Get that. He was hired for mining experience. So what you have on that mountain, what we'll probably find out is that that's actually a military base, and that there's an underground facility there. That's what they're saying. And this one individual himself saw Obama. They've seen Air Force One. They see the black helicopters. And Obama was there on 3 separate occasions at sites remote that were unrelated to the Jamboree. Now, the reason why this is valuable is because recently, if people follow the news of this story, guess what? My report was responded to by the military. See, the West Virginia adjutant general dismissed the allegations. He said that they wouldn't carry out an operation on the scouts to expand government power. He denied it, but he couldn't deny that there were drills there that were being announced, because in fact there are several drills there right now that are underway. They are Air Guard exercise, Sentry Storm, Army exercise, Ridge Runner, and a disaster response training exercise that didn't have a specific name. And that's according to this general himself. Now, he's absolutely a scumbag. And I'll tell you what's going on here. Also, the governor of the state issued an executive order and issued a state of emergency. He gave martial law power to the federal government over West Virginia for this event. Now, this is also on the heels of that announcement in Europe that Obama had agreed with Russia to have Russian soldiers in FEMA Region 3. And guess what's in FEMA Region 3 for big events?
True.
West Virginia. So this is what we're facing. He says that this is all about economics. Economics. So that's what the general says. He's like, this is about creating jobs. Okay? So, yeah, this is a quote. He's saying, I don't know what I'm talking about. He says, I don't know the relationship that we have with the National Guard, have with the citizens of this state, both in good times and times of disaster. And this is a quote, our opportunities that we try to create jobs for West Virginians. So it's an absolute admission that they are justifying. This is the rationalization. This is the narcissistic, psychopathic rationalization of the police state. Job creation. So these people have blown out our economy and stolen it, the corporate leaders and the banksters and the politicians. So where is the economy going to grow? Oh, in the police state, to prevent us from taking back our country. That's the new economy, the police state. And look
at what's been going on, obviously, with the big NSA center in Utah.
Yep. Oh, but it creates jobs. the end of freedom, but hey, it creates jobs. You know. So that story. That story is now. There's more. I'm not done yet. Proof. There's more.
That's okay.
I didn't even get to the health segment. So that story is West Virginia dismisses false flag allegations, and that was on their West Virginia.
When you allow me, let me butt in, and it could be now, it could be later. I just have to write down my subject.
Okay. Let me put the topper on this. Okay. So recently, this was discovered, and it is at this website. It's an educational website, and I'm going to open it up right now. It's Virginia Tech, and this story is called Zombie Virus. It was put up on the 17th, yesterday. Right. Listen to this. Zombie virus to be unleashed at National Boy Scout Jamboree to teach kids about contagious diseases. And there's your disaster, right? See now they can't. We stopped a false flag. We stopped it because the false flag was going to be a mass casualty chemical warfare drill that was going to go live. We're talking about thousands of deaths, and these kids were going to be infected, and then they were going to be sent home across the whole country. This was a major, major operation. So instead, and they're making this into a game now. It says, if researchers from Virginia Tech's Virginia Bioinformatics Institute have their way, 50,000 Boy Scouts might just turn into zombies as part of an educational game called Virus Tracker. So they were going to be injected with a virus that they could then track. That's the reality of what we stopped. Now, the other piece is that people are going to wonder, what is this zombie virus? Well, I also stopped a drill in Moscow, Idaho. There was a zombie UFO drill that was listed on FEMA.gov's website. Now, when we're talking about the zombie virus is simply what's reported by the National Geographic, and that is an airborne rabies flu. That's what we're talking about. So imagine a rabies influenza that is airborne, and that is what is leading to the zombie-like behaviors. It's a swelling of the brain. So when anybody says zombie virus and the government talks about zombie virus, that's what they're talking about. It's talking about a weaponized form of rabies. That's National Geographic. Zombie virus possible via rabies flu hybrid. So that's the other aspect of this. We saved lives. We really did save lives. And so if people will add two and two together, they'll see this was absolutely a false flag terrorist attack in the works. There were people in the military worried about it, so the information was leaked, and we stopped it. So,
well, my question goes hand in hand with that, because with things like this coming out, and Edward Snowden, Bradley Manning, it seems like like the whistleblowers get more in trouble than the people actually doing the crimes. So how can we address this? That if somebody sees something that's going wrong, because obviously Janet Napolitano wants you to say something if you see something, but if you see something in relation to government, then you're the scourge of the earth. And and so with that, and especially with Nevada, because we live here, how can we make sure that if somebody sees corruption, that they can adequately report this and not have any backlash coming at them?
Yeah, I got to read you. You took the words out of my mouth. This is on my Facebook status, my fan page. The government said, this is one of the things I said. The government said, see something, say something. So Edward Snowden did, and now they want to hunt him down and kill him because they didn't like what he said he saw them do. I mean, that's
just seems like that. If you and AJ robbed a bank, and I was just using the ATM to take $20 out of the bank, and I reported it, then I would be the one getting in trouble. That's just what it feels like.
Yeah, exactly. So you point out the robbery, you go to jail. That's actually that. Now, here's the thing. As far as my whistleblower, my source, look, you got to go to the right politician. That's part of. If somebody's going to blow the whistle, you have to go to the right person that will actually. I would protect my source with my life, and I mean that. I would fight for that person and defend them physically. So you have to. If somebody's going to be a whistleblower, they have to have somebody they can trust, they can go to. And guess what? As far as my whistleblower goes, there's been no retaliation because no one knows who it is. They came to the right person. I took the information. We stopped a disaster. That's the way it's supposed to work. Now, my commitment is, first of all, as a politician, I've committed to use my campaign to protect whistleblowers. And that means me personally protecting. That starts with me as a candidate. We have to commit to protect whistleblowers, and we have to establish ourselves in the media as people that are going to do that. Okay, you can be a whistleblower. How do you want? So when people come to me with information, I don't tell them the conditions of their whistleblowing. I just say, how do you want me to help you? Do you want me to put you in contact with the media? Do you want to remain anonymous? Do you want me to give them your first name? So I'm very sensitive to my etiquette with whistleblowers. And they know that, and more of them will come to me. Now, position, this is on the political platform. I want to share this. This is position 19 on the political platform at NevadaGovernor2014.com. It's called the Whistleblower Protection Program. So I'll actually make it a program under the office of the governor for sanctuary for government, corporate, and mafia whistleblowers. Now, in conjunction with that, I want to hire retired cops and military. Particularly, I'm looking for those police officers you know and I know, like Gordon Martinez in Las Vegas, who dedicated their lives to fighting crime, but then they basically were blackballed by their own police departments because they were good cops surrounded by corrupt cops. Those cops are going to come work for me. And those veterans that have been neglected, that have all these special skills, will be working for me. And they're going to be assigned to protect the whistleblowers. So we'll have a program in place officially through the governor's office where whistleblowers are taken care of, and then we can sue the federal government to pay for the cost of that program when we, take them to court for the corruption that they're uncovering. That's how I think it should be done.
Right, and so I saw Jimmy Carter today speaking out on behalf of Snowden, and I think that's the best thing Jimmy Carter has said in at least a decade, but I think that's pretty cool. At least somebody is stepping out on his behalf.
Yeah. Well, yes. I mean, it's just it's not as though Edward Snowden told us anything we didn't know. It's that he betrayed. I mean, I think what bothers them so much is that they feel like he's betrayed the mafia that he worked for. That's the danger,
Oh, of course, yeah.
if all these guys, and this is the problem, is that this is the thing that people have to understand. If you shake hands with the devil, there's a price to pay. See, I have no dealings with the mafia. I will never have a dealings with the mafia. I will never betray the people of Nevada. I will never knowingly do them wrong. But he did that for a long time. He built a career on doing wrong, and then he had a change of heart, and there are consequences for that. Now, if we had enough people who would just come forward and say from the get-go, hey, I'm not doing that, and guess what? I'm not going to let you do it either. And if they would do that from the moment that they saw it, instead of sitting in Hawaii, like he said, he admitted, he was hanging out in Hawaii for who knows how long, doing that job, violating the law. So yeah, I mean, when people make that choice, like Edward Snowden, there's going to be a price to pay because you live it up, but it comes to an end. I mean, can you live with yourself? I can live with myself. I sleep well at night. But, I don't think he could. I think his conscience got the better of him. And so if he'd come to me, I would never have revealed his name. I would have taken the information. I would have made it public. But he didn't do that. He just chose another route. But I want people like Edward Snowden, I want them to know that I'm there to support them, and I'm sure you are too.
Oh, of course.
We will do this.
It's sad that people look at him for treason. How is it treason when he announces that the NSA spy tactics are way beyond what anybody thinks? And spying is like the biggest thing on the news over the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, that treason, the accusation of treason is all they can get you on because you haven't done anything wrong. I mean, they're the ones that are killing people in the government. They're the ones that are trafficking children. They're the ones that are, bringing the drugs in. That's how evil these people are. But so the only thing that they can say is that you're disloyal to their tyranny. I mean, that's the only thing that people like that can ever get on somebody who's genuinely good. Treason, quote unquote.
Right, and so, I'm guessing that there's stuff that goes down in Las Vegas all the time. With gambling, there could be local issues that don't make nationwide discussion.
Well, yeah, we're for example, here's one. Okay, Deputy Stephanie Haas, H-A-S. She is in Lyon County. She pulled a gun and threatened to arrest my assistant campaign manager for, guess what, handing out flyers for the campaign. So we're talking about cops like that. And guess what? I'm not just into the national stuff look, I'm here for Nevada. Nevada's my priority. So Nevada comes first. But I have family from Nevada in the Jamboree.
Right.
So, yeah, it affects me, and it affects Nevada. So, yeah, I'm having interest there. But I'll tell you what, one crooked cop in any county, one stupid, manure-eating deputy in Nevada, I'm going to come after him. I'm going to go for him. She makes $90,000 a year to be a thug. And that's over. And I won't be satisfied until she is fired, till she loses her retirement, till she is prosecuted, convicted, and in jail. That's Stephanie Haas, the thug deputy. She serves in Lyon County under Alan Vale, the sheriff there. And we will get all the complaints against this deputy, and we will get them out there. We will get the complaints filed, and I will make her famous. And she will be. Her story will be on TV across Nevada and across the internet for being the definitely, absolutely, totally a scumbag cop. And I'll go after him one at a time, if that's what it takes.
All right, I see we got like 3 minutes left here, so I'll let you figure out how to close here tonight.
Well, I just appreciate you. Freedomizer Radio, I'm happy to plug you guys because, you really are growing. I mean, I know on Alexa you're as far as alternative radio stations, you guys are getting way up there, aren't you?
Yeah, we've been around. I started doing radio 5 years ago, and I was telling Angie before that we did Freedomizer Radio while all the bigger people that are trying to do radio now were figuring out how to do YouTube. So I skipped YouTube basically and just went straight into radio.
Well, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for your success, and it's just great. You know,
hey, and people look at us sometimes like we've never heard of Freedomizer Radio, but hey, we have conferences and we have people turn out, so it's not like nobody knows who we are. We can generate a couple or a few hundred people like we will this Saturday.
So you're going to have a big crowd. How long do you want me to take? I should have asked you that.
Actually, I have you scheduled in. I might as well let you know now since you're in. I have you speaking at 8:30, so you probably have about a half hour or so. Go as long as you want. You're closing it out.
So is this open to the public then?
Yes, it is. It's a free event to invite everybody in your email list to come see you speak. Free event. We're going to have 2 food trucks there. We're going to have vendors. We're going to have other speakers. I'm going to do a detox smoothie demonstration. I lost 50 pounds in 4.5 months off of detoxing.
And say again where it's located for me and everybody.
It's at Pink Peas over on Charleston and Valley View. It's also at Rotary Park, which is right behind. So we're going to have 2 speaking areas, and you'll be able to go back and forth.
So
by the way, Dave, we have less than a minute here. So I'm going to let you give your website, and I think we're done.
Okay, guys. I appreciate it. NevadaGovernor2014.com is the website. Everybody go check it out and support Patriot candidates. I hope you all run for office. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Dave. I'll see you in a couple days. In the meantime, everybody, I believe Rob Rosenthal is on next. Jim, it's round 6. All right, guys, hold on to the handrail. Live from only part. I'm proof negative.